I'm the Executive Director of Commuting Solutions. We are a transportation management organization who works to inspire commute behavior change for people who live and work in the Northwest Metro region. And so tonight we are pleased to be partnering with RTD in the City of Lafayette to provide you with a webinar to really inspire that commute behavior change and teach you about the ins and outs of riding RTD. We are hosting similar webinars like this for several of the communities in our region. And this is our first one this year. So we're pleased to be with you here in Lafayette this evening. I did want to mention that we are recording this webinar for future use. So just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And in addition to providing a how to ride overview, we're really excited to talk about Boulder County's new transit service called Ride Free Lafayette. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Christina Zazueta with RTD to tell us all the ins and outs of how to ride their service. So welcome, Christina, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody. My name again is Christina Zazueta, and I am the Community Engagement Manager with RTD. I'm going to go through some how to ride tips and tricks. If you're a new rider, then this is a great place for you to be. If you're an experienced rider, I'm hoping I can cover some stuff that you haven't really done before or maybe haven't experienced. So what we'll do is we'll reserve our questions for the end, and I will do my best to answer your questions. But if for some reason it's highly technical and I need to get back to a service planner, I'll be happy to do so and get back to you with the right information. All right, so let's get started. All right, so one of the things that I think would be important for us to start off with would be, what are we doing during COVID-19? What has RTD done to keep riders safe? So if you're contemplating taking a ride, I'd like to share with you a couple things that we've been doing. Mostly, I think the biggest thing is that we are cleaning our vehicles every evening, and we have changed the way that we've been cleaning during COVID-19 compared to how we had done it in the past. So in addition to doing it every night, we have actually changed the type of cleaners that we're using. They're more industrial. They clean the virus a lot better than what we have been using in the past. And we have moved to an electrostatic cleaner. And if you haven't seen what that looks like, we have a great video on our website. And I know that some of the media have also been covering the process of electrostatic cleaners, as some of the airlines are using the very same thing. It looks like something out of science fiction. It kind of looks like a weird machine, or in some cases it looks like a ray gun, but what it does is it makes the cleaner into a mist. It gets into the finer areas of our seats, our cloth, and the parts that are hard to reach. It also allows the cleaner to cling on to the high touch areas for a lot longer and really do their job. Another thing that we did do during the height of the pandemic was we implemented rear door boarding, and we suspended fare collection for a couple of months. And I bring that up because we have since then gone back to boarding to the front of the vehicle, and we have gone back to collecting fare, but I still have it on here because it's part of one of the actions that we did take early on. And it's one of those things that, as this whole pandemic ebbs and flows, as it changes daily, it seems, we might look at doing that again if for some reason we see cases spike. So just something to keep in mind, that if you are riding for the first time, board in the front. We are collecting fare, but also check on our website and see if any of that changes. We have been limiting the number of riders on our vehicles. So on a smaller standard bus, 15 people per bus. On a larger bus, 20 passengers, and then on rail cars, 30. And we know that that's sometimes challenging to really make sure that we've got 20 people, and that we don't have 20 or 25. So what we're doing is that we are staging additional vehicles, particularly on bus routes and ones that we know are popular, just to make sure that if we see that those buses are full, if the operator calls in and says, hey, my bus is full, I'm still seeing passengers waiting at the bus stop, or if one of our street supervisors who are stationed also along the bus route see that a bus looks full, they'll call in a dispatch and have those additional buses come pick up the passengers. Next slide, please. All right, so the overall pandemic recovery plan is in 4 phases, and this has a lot to do with how many cases we're seeing, if we're seeing them go up or down, and our safety team is looking at this on a daily basis. They're working with the state and local public health agencies and also state and local governments to talk about where we're at as we proceed. So just to kind of give an overview, some of the things that we're doing is, of course, like I mentioned, we have some criteria and protocol that are going in around services. And yes, we're cleaning every day, but we're also keeping an eye on what the passenger loads are. As we move through and as we see passengers come back to RTD and feel more comfortable, then we will start adding in service. So what we did is we went into what we call a COVID-19 service plan, in which we reduced the amount of service that we had. We weren't running as regularly, but we still have a lot of buses out on the street just to make sure that we have vehicles to create that social distancing. So that's what we mean around services. And again, facilities, we're cleaning those every evening. And as we move through this, if there has to be changes, our safety team is there to make sure that we're doing the right thing as per the state and local health guidelines. We have internal processes that we've put in place. We're making sure that as we move through this, if we need to be doing temperature checks, we're doing temperature checks. If we're having people come to go to say visit family and come back, we have a process for making sure that they're taking the safe steps, having almost like a quarantine time before they come back to our facilities or back to the office. And we're exploring continuing telecommuting. As you can see, I'm at home still. We haven't gotten back into the office for those of us who can work off a computer, but we are looking at ways in which maybe we can go in a very limited basis and still continue the telecommuting as we go through this and through the end of the year. Next slide, please. All right, so even though we are doing all of these things, there are some stuff that we actually can't do by ourselves. So we are asking our passengers to wear face coverings while they're riding RTD services. And we have our operators are required to wear them, so they're wearing them as they're providing services. You'll see bus drivers wearing them. We've also started providing our operators with extra face coverings or face masks, some of those disposable ones, so when they leave the depot in the morning, they've got extra masks for anyone who perhaps they forgot it, their mask broke, you know, or they just, you know, simply didn't think about grabbing it on the way out. We ask people to, of course, always remember proper hand washing hygiene and the sneezing into your sleeve etiquette that we've all become used to. We ask people not to board vehicles if it appears too full. So going back to what our operators were doing, although they can do their best to operate a vehicle and look in the mirror and try to make sure that they're not over capacity, sometimes it's challenging because somebody maybe you know, one person hops on and 5 people jump on at the last moment. And so it's been sometimes a little challenging to make sure we have those numbers that we are trying to keep at. And so we ask our passengers to take a look at what's going on with the passenger load. If it looks too full, take the next bus, and please take the extra time to travel to wherever you're going during COVID, because it may be that if a bus is too full and you have to take the next one, you'll need that extra travel time. And as always, social distancing is everyone's responsibility. We ask that everyone try their best on the vehicle. Again, going back to, if it looks too full, don't hop on, wait for the next one. And so lastly, we have been doing some community outreach campaigns to promote this awareness. We have been distributing masks, not only our operators, but we've partnered with Commuting Solutions and other community partners to go out to stations to provide masks, provide hand sanitizer, and get the word out on how they can help us keep everybody safe. Next slide, please. All right, so now that we've covered just some of the general safety items, I'm going to go ahead and get into the the meat of how to ride now. And so I'd like to start with just the broader information. And I know this is a little bit hard to see on the map. If you'd like, you can always check out our website and we have a larger version. But on the map, you'll see kind of a gray ring around the map there. And in the center, you'll see a white area. It's a little hard to see, but it kind of looks like a bullseye that is a three-color bullseye. The center, a gray area, and then the outer ring, which is all white. And that's meant to signify the different fare zones that we have. We have 3 fare zones, and our bus and rail travel through those. So the local fare zone would be if you're just traveling within 1 fare zone or 2 fare zones. So if you say you're going from the center of the map to that little shaded gray area, then that would still be considered a local. And so some rail travels through there. We have local limited bus service that travels in a local area. We have FlexRide services that may travel in the local area. And this corresponds, and I'll explain this on the next slide, but this corresponds to what type of fare you're going to be buying. So before you buy a fare product and buy your ticket, you're going to want to know, okay, where am I going? Am I going on a local level? Am I going more regional? Am I going to the airport? So regional would be if you're transcending 3 fare zones. Say you are going from Boulder all the way to downtown Denver, then that would constitute a regional fare route. And or if you're using the SkyRide bus, then that would constitute regional. If you're going all the way to the airport, however, that would be an airport fare. And so there's only just 1 for airport fare. If you're, no matter where you're starting off, if you're going to the airport, you would buy an airport fare. Next slide, please. All right, so I won't go through this very daunting looking matrix with a lot of numbers on it, but my reason for putting this in here was that I wanted to just break out in numbers so you can see how you would be purchasing your ticket. So again, if you are going local, as I explained, looking at the map, you're going to 1 to 2 fare zones, then you would buy a local bus or rail ticket, which is that first column. If you're going further, like I said, 3 fare zones, you get the regional. And then if you're going all the way out to the airport, either bus or rail, then you would get an airport fare. Now, this is, the reason for having this on here is that you can see not only the prices, but you can also see that there's different options for buying. And if you look at it and do the math, so there is some discount that applies. For example, I'll just take under the first column there, local bus and rail. It's $3 for a 3-hour pass. Right below it, if you use the MallRide card, it's also a 3-hour pass, but you do have a savings of about 20 cents there. So you do get a discount if you're using a certain type of fare. So something to keep in mind when you're looking at purchasing your fare product. Next slide, please. All right, so diving a little bit deeper into it, there is, again, like I mentioned, a 3-hour cash pass, and that can also be purchased on a MallRide card, and you would get a discount on the MallRide card. But the MallRide card is really a lot like a Starbucks card or a gift card. You can go and reload it, go to King Soopers, reload some more cash on it, and every time you use it, you would tap, and I'll show you that here in a moment, but you would then just reload it when you need some more money on there. It's a 3-hour cash pass, which replaces the one-way cash fare transfer. And I say that because a little while back, it used to be that if you bought a 3-hour pass, or if you bought a pass, you could only go in one direction, and then you'd have to buy another pass to go in the other direction. Now with a 3-hour pass, you can go back and forth or multiple destinations for that pass type within 3 hours, as long as you got it done within 3 hours. There's a day pass if you're going to be doing a trip and it's going to take longer than 3 hours. So you can buy a day pass, and that'll take care of you all day, unlimited transfers and everything. Again, back to the MallRide card, it's a reloadable fare that you can just use like a gift card, and you do get a discount on full fare and off of discount cash fares. You can also, if you prefer, do paper. There's paper tickets and there's ticket booklets. The booklets could be, both of them actually can be purchased at King Soopers or RTD outlets. The passes are also something that you could purchase at a ticket vending machine that is located at our stations. Next slide, please. All right, so speaking of ticket vending machine, this is what they look like. Something that I like to point out with this, and this one's just a regular one, but there's some that say whether or not they accept cash, and there's some that accept credit or debit. So under the top there where it says ticket, usually right below that it'll say cash or it'll say debit or credit. This one doesn't have it on there, so that tells me that it likely takes both. And so when you go to the screen, you can select the different types of fares that I've already explained. You can use cash to purchase that, credit, debit, and you can get all the different types, whether it's a 3-hour pass or if you need to get a day pass. And this is also, like I mentioned, it's all at every rail station, it's all at every Flatiron Flyer station, and you can easily get what you need from these ticket vending machines. So just quickly, 5 steps to get your ticket. You go through to the touch screen. You select the ticket type that you like. You can select multiple tickets. So if you have somebody with you, you can select a couple tickets. And then it'll bring up the amount on the screen. And you go ahead and pay for your ticket, and make sure if you pay with cash, you take your change. And that's all there is to that. Next slide, please. All right, so here's what the process you would take if you actually have a physical card with you. So this would be the MallRide card, which is that reloadable card. If you have an Eco Pass, Flex Pass, or College Pass that's provided through your employer or through your college, or a neighborhood pass, if you have one of those. I think Boulder's got quite a few neighborhoods that do have pulled together for a neighborhood Eco Pass. And so you would have a physical card that's given to you, and the way you would go about using that is to make sure you validate this card, or you tap it. So you see there's 2 types of validators there, and it's a little challenging to see, but there are some buttons there on the screen right next to the little green screen that would allow you to specify whether it's a local, regional, or airport fare that you are going to be needing for your trip. So you would select that first and then tap your card, and then you're on your way. Now when you are on the bus or the train, if there is a fare inspector, they are able to look at or scan your, take a look at your card there. And, you know, of course, they'll always ask you to make sure that you are tapping your card. So make sure you do that, because that's how we continue to have revenue. This is how we continue to make sure that everybody's getting the services they need. Next slide, please. All right, another option, as I mentioned before, if you do decide to go with the paper option for a 10-ride ticket book or a day pass, then you would need to validate this in just a slightly different manner. You'd see here, really the picture on the right is the better picture. It's a larger picture, a giant V at the top, and that's the ticket validator. On the left-hand side, you see that you would just insert your paper ticket, and it would stamp it and validate the ticket. So again, if a fare inspector would come by, you can present that to them, and it would have the time and the date of you validating that. Very, very simple, and it's usually located right next to the ticket vending machine on platforms and at our stations. Next slide, please. All right, so mobile ticketing is the hot ticket these days, especially because you don't have to touch anything like a screen, and you don't have to think about, you know, the hand sanitizer process and et cetera. So we have been seeing more and more people adopting the mobile ticket option. More people do have mobile phones, so this is really a really good way to go. And you can buy a 3-hour ticket on here, a day pass, or a monthly pass on the mobile tickets app. It's really easy to download, so you would just go to your Apple store, you go to your Android store, type in RTD mobile tickets, and then download the actual app. So the way it works is once you have it downloaded, you can upload or put your information in there, including how you want to purchase. So if it's a credit card or a debit card that you want to put in there to purchase. And once you purchase, you can, again, pick those different types of fare products. You have what's called a digital wallet in which these fare products go into, and they stay in there for 45 days. And in those 45 days, you have to use them, and even if you don't activate them, they will go away after 45 days. So you have essentially 45 days to use them. You can purchase them on the fly. So if you're going up to the station and you buy it just as you're getting on, then that's a good way to go. Or again, you can buy a whole bulk, say a month pass, and have it sitting in your wallet. And you have to validate these before you actually are considered using them. So what you would do is just pull up your wallet, pull out the ticket that you have already purchased. You would push in there, validate or use this ticket, and then it's considered used or spent. And then it would you would have until 2:59 a.m. the following morning to use that. So it's a really nice way to go about buying tickets and having a lot of flexibility. You could buy up to 10 tickets for other people. So if you have a party of 10, you can buy up to 10 tickets through the mobile app. Next slide, please. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about our park and rides and parking at our stations. This is actually a pretty common question. I think it's somewhat intimidating if you haven't ridden before with us and don't know exactly where to go. So I'll start by saying some stations have park and rides where you can leave your vehicle, and some do not. So I would recommend before you go to our website and take a look at what stations we do have and where this parking is available. Now, once you are there, the way it works is if your car is registered within the RTD district, then parking is free for the first 24 hours. After 24 hours, it's a hefty, lofty $2 daily fee. So that definitely beats the parking fees that you might see downtown, which are $15 to $20 for daily parking. And again, that's after 24 hours. So if you are there for more than one day, it's still only $2. And so the way it would work is you could, oh, and before I move on to that, there is a $4 fee if your car is registered outside of the district. So again, that's not a big, heavy price, but the way it would work and how you would know whether or not you're in district is you would walk up to the machine here, that's the parking machine, and it would say pay here. It has a big P in a circle, which is the universal sign for parking, and you would go in there and dial in your license plate. It would tell you whether or not you're within or without district, and a lot of people are surprised to find out that they're actually within district, so they're happy to find out that they're free. And you can then, if you do need to pay, or if you are going to be there, say for 3 days, and you need to pay the additional $2 per day fee after the additional the initial 24, then that's where you would pay for that. Now, once you do pay, you would get a little ticket. It's not recommended you leave that on your dash because we don't check for the ticket. We check the license plate, and the ticket really is just for you. If you leave it on your dash, it actually is a safety concern because somebody might know that you're not returning for a couple of days. So it's recommended that you don't leave it on your dash. And so if you're going to be gone for quite a while, we usually don't see this, but any cars that are parked continuously for longer than 30 consecutive days, that might signal a flag for us, but you can be there for up to 30 days. So a lot of people that travel go to the airport might use this option. There is also a mobile option, and you would see that also on the ticket vending machine. It's hard to see here, but there's a green sticker towards the bottom. It tells you what app you can get, which is the Park mobile app, and it has a number assigned to it, and you would just use the prompts and pay through your mobile phone. And that's a good way to go. If, for example, you're gone for 2 days and realize you need to be gone a third day, you can go back into the app and buy that extra day without having to worry about somehow getting back to your vehicle or getting a ticket. Next slide, please. All right, so let's talk a little bit about trip planning. There's a couple options, and really the primary or one of the best options is going to the rtd-denver.com website. And there's also trip planning on mobile apps, including what's called the RTD NextRide app for your phone, the Transit app, which I'll show you in a minute, and the Google Map, which I'll use GPS navigation to find out where you're at and give you a recommendation on maybe some of the routes that are in your area. If neither one of those are an option, you can always call our customer care and they'll help you plan the trip that you need. And that number is pretty easy to remember. It's 303-299-6000, and they can walk you through how to get to your trip plan. But as you can see on the screen, you would enter your starting location. your destination, and it would give you a couple of options on how you can get there. Very, very simple to use. Next slide, please. So these are the different apps I just was mentioning. On the left, it's the RTD trip planner. The middle is Google Apps, and then on the right is the Transit app, which happens to be the one that I use. I think it was just I picked up that one first, and then I kind of got married to it, and then I got used to it. So I really got to like that one. But it doesn't mean that the other ones aren't good. It's just my preference. Like I said, I just got very, very used to it. And so you again can do all the things that I just mentioned, your destination, where you're starting from, and it'll spell out where you can pick up different routes. They use GPS so that they would recommend what routes you could pick up. And another feature that I think might be good to mention, I don't have the screenshot here, and I probably will have to add that at a later presentation, but Google Maps and Transit do actually have started to use user data and GPS information to start looking at passenger loads. So if you are wondering, hey, is the route 15 at this hour going to be particularly full, it would give you a sense of what that passenger load looks like. And it's not perfect, of course. Not every phone is tracked or traced, but it does give you a sense of, okay, it's kind of on the low side, or it looks like it's high passenger load, and then you can decide, okay, I'd like to pick a different route, maybe that still takes me to the same location, but maybe isn't as full. Next slide, please. All right, so here are some of I'm going to go through just a couple of the local routes that you'll have in your area. One is the Route 225, and it goes from Broomfield to downtown Boulder via Baseline. A little hard to see the map, but this is available on our website. If you go to our website and click rtd-denver.com/schedules, or type in schedules just on our main page, you can then look up Route 225, and it'll explain this on an hourly basis. You could pick up the map and see the more specific details. But what I wanted to mention with all the local routes I'm going to be going through here is that we, as I said, we're in a COVID-19 service plan right now. So there had been changes at the beginning of COVID. We have added some service back in, and that could change at any point. So I would recommend that you do go to our website, take a look at what that looks like, or call our customer care and let them know what you're interested in doing, because this could change on a regular basis. So right now, this particular line, I understand, runs about every 30 minutes. But it may be that schedule may be just a little bit off if we're needing to add additional buses for, like I mentioned, the capacity levels. So there may be slight shifts, and I would recommend calling our customer care if you really want to get specific on how to get to and from on this particular route or any route that I mentioned. Next slide, please. Okay, we also have the popular Dash, which is from Lafayette to downtown Boulder, and that goes via South Boulder Road. And you can see just a little bit of the map here again, but this one runs, I think right now, on a regular basis. It's every 30 minutes approximately during the peak, but on the weekends you'll notice that it doesn't run as regular as during the week. Next slide, please. All right, and we've got the jump from Erie to downtown Boulder, and this is via Arapahoe Road. And I apologize, my dog is barking in the other room, so it might be you hear a little extra chirp every once in a while. Puppy, I should mention. And so anyhow, back to the jump. This one is running on a fairly regular basis as well, but again, during the height of the pandemic, we were running just weekend service on a lot of these, and we have been just kind of slowly folding in more service as we see people ride this. Next one, please. All right, the LD1, and that is the route that runs from downtown Denver to Longmont, and that's via US 287. And this would be actually a regional route, so it would be a regional fare, as I mentioned earlier. There's also an LD2 and an LD3, and I did not bring those up here because the LD2 and the 3, although they run a very similar route, they aren't running as regularly as it was before the pandemic. So in fact, they are running 2 trips southbound and 2 trips northbound a day, which was significantly different than what it was previously. So take a look at our website. Again, there it is, and we'll have it available for you later as well if you have questions on that for any particular route. Next slide, please. All right, so there's talk about commuter rail and light rail, and I don't know if you've heard that recently with the coming opening of the N line, and that is going to be a new commuter rail line that opens September 20th, September 21st, and that is going to be from downtown Denver north to I almost said Longmont, to gosh, I'm slipping my mind here. Up to the north side of town to Thornton. And so it is going to use the commuter rail trains that you see on the left. They are a larger train. Typically, those are for longer distances. And on the right-hand side of the light rail trains that you are probably used to seeing downtown, they're better for shorter distances, distance between stops, and they're great for going downtown. So kind of like a trolley looking train that could travel really close to some vehicles or on the street side. They travel at different speeds. The commuter rail, if they have to cover longer distances, for example, the one that goes to the airport, it can operate as a max speed of 79 miles per hour. It has a larger capacity for passengers, and as opposed to the 55 mile per hour that the light rail could travel at. I think one of the biggest things that people are surprised with if they use one or the other and then they suddenly start using the other vehicle is the fact that one does not have stairs and the other one does. So commuter rail is level boarding. It's easy to roll your luggage, your bike, mobility device on and off at any one of the doors. And the light rail has stairs at every opening. And so if somebody does need access, has a mobility device, they would need to go to the very first car using a ramp and access the vehicle that way. So just a very big difference and something to keep in mind. Next slide, please. All right, so if and when you do go down to Union Station, this is an aerial view of how the tracks are broken out. So on the left of that image there, you'll see the main Union Station building, the Great Hall. And at this time it was construction, but on the right there's a couple hotels and restaurants now. So again, the left side being the east side at Union Station. So track 1 would be the University of Colorado A line to the airport. And then the next track over, track 2, which is a dotted purple, is the line that I just mentioned, which is the N line that soon will be open. And then we've got a couple, the black ones are side pockets just for additional vehicles, and Amtrak there in the middle. And then on the right-hand side, which is the west side, you will see the G line and the B line. The gold colored line and the green line is the B line. I will mention that sometimes they do interchange what track they're on. So when you are at Union Station, you will actually see some marquees up there that will say gold line, and it'll say either track 8 or track 7, depending on what time it's coming in. Same for the B line, so something to keep in mind as well. Next slide, please. All right, so below the tracks is actually the RTD bus concourse. So we have a hub and spoke style system, and so below the tracks is a really nice bus concourse that has several bays or gates, and the course is the size of 3 football fields. It has security guards 24/7. We do have a time of the evening that it is closed, which is, I believe, between 2:30 and 4 in the morning. And that did change during the pandemic. We didn't have as much service, so we didn't have as many hours open. There are because this is underground, there's actually skylights that bring in natural light. There are public restrooms at this particular facility. That's a very common question we get as to why we don't have restrooms at all our stations, but in this particular facility we do have them, and they're on what you would see here on the most right hand side there of the map. The gates go clockwise, so you will start with 1, which is the southeastmost side, and you can see that the numbers would get bigger as you kind of go clockwise if you're trying to navigate while you're down there. There is free Wi-Fi down there, so if you're waiting or trying to map out your course, then you can try the Xfinity Wi-Fi that's down there. Next slide, please. Okay, so we do have some free routes. We have the free MallRide, which is the red bus that travels up and down 16th Street Mall between Union Station and Civic Center Station. It stops at every block except when there's construction, and it operates seven days a week. So before the pandemic, before all the closures, you would find this pretty busy during the peak morning, lunch, and afternoon hours. There's also the free Metro ride, which travels on 18th and 19th Streets between Union Station and Civic Center stations. And that stops every few blocks. But I will say that right now it's not in service because we find that it's not, we don't have the ridership for it. So just a different option to keep in mind for as we start opening everything up. But again, it's not running currently. Next slide, please. All right, so this is just an aerial view of those maps. Of course, the big purple is the 16th Street Mall with Union Station there on the left and Civic Center Station on the right. And then you can see just a couple blocks to the north is the free Metro ride, which is not currently running, but you can at least have that option in the future. Next slide, please. All right, so now let's talk about the Flatiron Flyer here, which is, again, another very popular route. We call them the FF1, the FF2, or the FF3. If you are looking at some of our marquees, sometimes you'll see it noted as such. This one travels between Denver, Westminster, Louisville, Superior, and Boulder. It is a weekday, it's every 15 minutes, which we are still seeing very similar times right now. The FF1 is running pretty much its full schedule. I would say the FF2 and FF3 are something that you'd have to take a look at because I know that there were some changes in that frequency as part of the COVID plan. There are electric outlets and USB ports available for laptops, tablets, cell phones on these buses. So these are very nice coach buses. They actually have reclining seats and footrests, which I was very surprised to see on my first ride on this. But you know, there's a lot of room there, as you can see in one of the pictures. There's room for bikes. There's underneath a storage in which one of the bikes could easily fit. So there's a lot of options, but this is because it's a regional route. It has a little bit of that larger vehicle. Next slide, please. Is that becoming a bit too much with the dog? I apologize. All right, so now I'll talk a little more about the FlexRide, and you might have seen these around town. It's just this little smaller vehicle. Pardon me for one moment. We'll see how good of a dog trainer I was when I tell her no and see if she listens. The FlexRide, again, was formerly the Call and Ride. We rebranded just more than a year ago, so you can see our new logo on these. But these provide an option for commuters that want to do that first and last mile connection from an RTD transit system into a set local area. I would say that if you are interested in one of the 21 Flex service rides that we have and taking a look at what that cost is, definitely take a look at our website because they have their own service area. So you can see the different maps in which they serve. And what you'll see when you look at the map is there'll be a service area and you could use the FlexRide to pretty much travel anywhere within that service area. So hence the name FlexRide. This would come in under a local fare. And there are a couple things that did change for this during COVID. There is an online trip reservation process that had been made available. The reservations right now on our first come, first served basis. And we also suspended the service plan, which was a subscription service plan in which you can pre-schedule a day to pick you up for. So if I knew that every other Tuesday I was going to need to go to this doctor appointment, I could just set it up and have that scheduled. But that has been currently suspended just as part of the COVID-19 service plan. So just a couple things that you could keep in mind if you'd like to use this. I do recommend it just because it does offer nice flexibility. It is a smaller vehicle, so you do have a little bit more of what feels like a dedicated route to your needs. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the safety tips that we just have overall, even whether or not it was COVID. These are just some things to keep in mind, and safety is a big priority at RTD. So we want to make sure that you always keep these things in mind. If you're traveling through rail, remember to look up from your phone and definitely don't be distracted. We had a campaign last year. We had pulled together a series of what were near miss videos, and you would be surprised on how often a phone was involved in distracting somebody as they get off the train and decide to cross the tracks to get to the other side. They think, oh, I'm off the train, so I'm safe, and get on their phone, and you know, it's a lot of it's really scary for our operators who unfortunately get to see this firsthand pretty often. Of course, cross only in designated areas and follow traffic rules. If there's signage, warning devices, or gates, they all function a little different, so please pay attention to what those look like. Bus safety is very clear and straightforward, very similar. I would say that one of the bigger things is to remember that buses have some major blind spots. So if a bus is pulling away, it's gone from the curb, consider it gone. Please don't chase it, don't tap on it. We've actually seen some pretty bad accidents when people thought that they could tap on the bus, that the driver could see them, and they can't. So again, if it's pulled away, it's gone. Please wait for the next one. And now that we're coming into the fall, the hopefully rainy season and the snowy season, please remember to use the handrails. Things can get pretty slippery, so please be careful. I won't go through all of them, just something for you to read on your time. Next slide, please. Another app that we have, and this one actually is a pretty nice one to have, is our Transit Watch app. And what I like about this is it puts you in contact with our RTD police and security folks at any time. So whether you see something like somebody left a bag, as you see in the picture there, if there's a safety concern, somebody could trip on something, or overall you're just feeling like you need to contact our police because there's something going on and you feel like your safety could be compromised, this is how you could get in touch with us. Certainly you can call our police, and this is the number that I have there. You can text our police department and say, hey, look, this is what's going on, here's a location, or you can email us. But the Transit Watch app kind of pulls all that together. You're able to take a picture of what you're seeing, describe it. You can remain anonymous, or you can allow them to contact you for more information. So a lot of options there, but I've used it a couple times just to report bags that were lost or left behind, and they're pretty responsive and have picked up the bags even while I was still on the train, just as a sign that I realized it was working. All right, next slide, please. All right, so okay, we bring us to the end, but I don't know if we're gonna ask the questions now or wait to the very grand finale.
Thank you, Christina. You are a wealth of information. We're so happy to have you here with us. If it's all right with you, I would really appreciate it if we could allow Sydney, Program and Outreach Specialist for Commuting Solutions, to talk about the Ride Free Lafayette service, since it's brand new and super exciting to have this new on-demand service in town. So why don't we have Sydney run through her slides, and then we can answer any questions at the end as we wrap up.
Yeah, thanks Audrey for that introduction. So I'm gonna give an overview on how to ride Free Lafayette. Ride Free Lafayette recently launched in Lafayette, so it's a great service, and we're gonna tell you a little bit more about it. So Ride Free Lafayette, I'll go over the key features. The first key feature is that it's free, so a limited amount of rides. It's on demand, so that means it operates on your schedule. within the operation, the hours of operation. And so if there's, you need to go to an appointment throughout the day, you can call them up and they operate on your schedule. Also, it's routeless, so it's a little bit different than a fixed route system such as RTD. So they can take you wherever you need to go within the service area. So say you needed to go from your home to work or the grocery store or even a park, it is routeless. So they will take you wherever you need to go within the service area, and it's door to door. So if you do need a little bit extra assistance going from your door to the vehicle, they can help you with that, and then they will make sure to drop you off right at your area if it's possible. And this service is provided by Boulder County, and it has funding assistance from the Denver Regional Council of Governments. And so where Ride Free Lafayette can take you is really anywhere you need to go within the community. So if you needed to go to the grocery store or to a doctor's appointment, they can take you to the library, the community center. Even if you needed to go from your house to a friend's or family member's house, or if you just wanted to go to the park, you can call up Ride Free Lafayette and they will take you wherever you need to go within the City of Lafayette and the Crestwell community in Louisville. And so our service area, again, it operates in Lafayette, and then we do have service within the Crestwell community of Louisville. And all of the trips need to start and end in the service area. So here you can see just a quick map of our service area. So really anywhere you need to go within the service area, this free transit service will take you to there. So if you needed to go from your house to anywhere within the service area, you can get there through Ride Free Lafayette. And so the hours of operation, we operate Monday through Sunday, including all holidays from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So any day of the week and any holiday, we're operating at that time. And then our call center is also open during those hours of operation too. So if you wanted to book a ride, you can call any time that we are open and running the service. So there are 3 ways to book a ride with Ride Free Lafayette. The first is using the app. The app is available in Google Play and also the App Store. So the app is called On Demand Transit Rider app. Once you download the app, you will be asked to enter a keyword into the Get Started section. And the keyword is Lafayette. And that means that you'll have access to being able to book a ride for our service. The next way to book a ride is by going online to ridefreelafayette.com, and you can book a ride there. And the third way that you can book a ride is by calling and talking to a person. You can call 833-456-3359, and during our normal hours of operation, you can call and talk to a representative, and they'll be able to book your trip for you. So booking a ride, there are 2 different ways that you can book a ride. You can either book a ride in advance. So say if you had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, or you wanted to go to the store in a few days at noon, you can book a ride in advance and they'll come and pick you up at your designated and agreed upon pickup time. Or you can also book for as soon as possible pickup. So say you just needed to go to the store, you can call the service number and they can come for as soon as possible pickup. So maybe they have a pickup that they're making now and then they can come pick you up afterwards. So if you call for as soon as possible pickup, they'll give you a pickup time based on the schedule of riders that they have. And then rides can be requested by the rider, or you can make a request for a rider that is in your family. And when you do make requests, if you're traveling with a group, you can let the service representative know that you're traveling with, say, a few people. That way they know how many people can fit in the bus. And so booking times, there's 2 different ways that you can book. So if you're, say, running an errand, like I said, you can request a pickup time. So if you just needed to leave at, say, 2 o'clock and you wanted to run to the store, you can request a pickup time. Or if you had something that you had to be there, say an appointment, or you needed to get to work at a certain time, you can let them know that you want to be dropped off, say, at Kaiser at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and they will give you your pickup time. That way you know that you're going to be picked up at the right, or dropped off at the right time, and then they'll provide you that pickup time. So as I mentioned, you can book group trips as well. And so if you have a certain amount of passengers in your party, you can let us know. And the vehicle can hold 14 riders at a time. So canceling a ride, there are no penalties for canceling a ride. All of the rides are free. We just ask that if you do need to cancel a ride, you can either cancel it by the app or the website, or you can simply call the booking number and then cancel the ride, and you can reschedule the ride for a different time when you're doing that. So getting ready for your trip, if you're using the on-demand transit app, the app will let you know and will notify you when the vehicle is on its way. So when you're boarding, they say you're going to be picked up at 1:45. You can meet at the curb at 1:45, and you can let the bus driver know your name and destination. And the service is free, so you don't need to pay anything when you enter or when you leave the bus. And then once the bus comes to your drop-off point, they will let you know, and then you can get off the bus that way. So we are really accessible on the Ride Free Lafayette. We are using the Via vehicles, and they are the service that is operating the service. And they have 14 seater vehicles, and all of the vehicles come with a chair lift that can accommodate all different types of wheelchairs. And again, the drivers can provide door-to-door assistance if needed. We also have 2 bike racks on the vehicle, so if you did want to, say, ride your bike you wanted to take this and then ride your bike, say, on some trails or connecting to transit, you can do that, and you can put your bike on the front of the vehicle. And then service animals are allowed on the vehicle, but non-service animals are not allowed on the vehicle. And riding during COVID, we want to make sure that everybody is safe. And your safety is our top priority during COVID. And so we are doing deep clean every day. And then we're also doing intermediate cleaning of high touch points throughout the day. So handrails, different things like that, our drivers are cleaning those. And then physical distancing, we do have ropes on the bus. And so that can make sure that there's that 6 feet of physical distancing throughout the bus. And we're asking that all riders and the drivers are wearing face masks. So the face masks are required to be worn at all times just to have an extra measure of safety while people are riding the bus. And so this is just a quick testimony about what people are saying about Ride Free Lafayette. It's been around for about a month and a half, and we've had some really great responses. And this person here is saying that they booked their trip for a pickup at 2:30, but their appointment ended about an hour early. So they just simply called Ride Free Lafayette, and they were actually able to come pick her up about 40 minutes early. So it's really flexible, and there wasn't another person that had a booking right then. So she was able to kind of move up that booking and get home a little bit earlier. And so that's all I have. And I think we have a little bit of time for questions.
Thank you, Sydney. You did a great job cruising through those slides rather rapidly. So great job covering a lot of content in a short amount of time. So yeah, we do have just 4 minutes left until we needed to end our time together. In the chat, I see that Tracy Kirk sent a message. She said, "Thank you. We were interested in riding Ride Free Lafayette and going to Blue Heron Estates to a friend's house, but it's not in the service area. Thank you for your time." So I see that Angel Bond is on the webinar from Boulder County. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can you clarify that, or do you know, or the Joliet with City of Lafayette, can you confirm that that community is outside of the service area?
I'll have to check really quickly. I'm not honestly sure exactly where that's at. Depending on how far out of the service area it is, we might be able to accommodate, but let me just double check. It says that it's in Lafayette proper. Let me just double check. So it looks like, okay. I'll have to double check. Let me follow up, and if you want, I can send you a follow-up email, Audrey, and you can send it to Tracy because I'm sure you have her email.
Wonderful, thank you. Does anyone else have questions for Christina or Sydney tonight? All right, well, thanks again, everybody, for being here. This is, again, our first How to Ride webinar that we're hosting this fall to educate the public about transit. So thank you for your time this evening. Have a great night, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the community at another time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.